Last night I took a picture of one of the clots that exited, as it was way bigger than those are supposed to be. And I took a picture of it not being able to go down the drain before I had to pick it up and flush it. Because it was too big. I figured that would be useful. It's still really disgusting to look at, so I backed it up. And then I deleted it off my phone because I can't keep on looking at it. It just makes me want to puke. It's gross. So, yeah. They're sending Gene home today. His store is over hours for the week, so they're actually sending about 20 people home. They're going to be on a skeleton crew for the rest of today. I guess I should say I thought it was suspicious that this month he's actually gotten his lunches most of the time. Hasn't been sort of backed into a corner where he either has to fudge it or get in trouble. That's the fucked up thing. Like, the people that you're getting in trouble with, it's actually their job to make sure everybody's getting their lunches. But you get in trouble with them if they don't, and you don't fudge it. Some of his bosses actually fudge their lunches because there's too much to do for that many people. So I guess Walmart found a way around their, figures. All they care about is money. Corporate. All corporate cares about is money. They don't actually care how this affects their employees. They don't really care about their customers either. They've demonstrated this time and time again. So he's on his way home. He was told to use his PTO to cover for the time, and that's what he's gonna do. But he can't do this for another day. He doesn't have it. He used it. So he doesn't have it for this, and he's not supposed to have to plan to have it for this. You know, that's supposed to be for sick time, or if he has to get sent home, because, you know, he has a medical thing, not because the store is 600 hours over what it's supposed to be. You know. He actually admitted that he tried to hide whenever they said that. But they caught him helping a customer. They caught him, like, he would just duck every time he saw a manager, and they caught him helping a customer. You know, doing his job. It's not the first time that they've done this, where they just send a bunch of people home. Sometimes he ends up in that, sometimes he doesn't. Nobody wants to lose those hours, because nobody can afford to lose those hours. And we'd kind of already been hoping to have him build that back up, be able to take like a 2-day vacation at some point. Just 2 days. Tack it on like the tail end of one of his days off, or tack it between. So then he'll have 4 whole days in a row. And just sort of have some family time. Can't really build that up if Yeah. He's had a couple times they've had to, he either wasn't scheduled for enough hours because there was a problem with scheduling, so he had to use it. You know, he's used it for issues with them. You know, they still haven't. He's not gonna get what they shorted him until this next paycheck. At least he knows that they're gonna give it to him, but like, that's a month after the fact. That's 4 weeks. People live on this. Like, if we didn't plan out our rent and whatnot ahead of time, we would have been fucked. So very fucked. Your employer should not be an unreliable douchebag who makes promises and breaks them. They also changed their bonus at the last minute. They didn't want to pay out this bonus, so then they decided that they were going to shorten it by a couple $100 per person. It's supposed to be, I think, like $500 a person for full-timers. They took it down to like $300. Yeah, this was supposed to be the profit-sharing check. And I guess Walmart Corporate decided that they wanted to keep more of it. So they screwed everybody last minute. Like, they'd already published who was supposed to get what, and then they shortened it and just changed it like that last week, like days before it was supposed to go out. And this sucked ass. I hate Walmart. Hate Walmart. Also, their clothes in the women's sections are shit. They're thin, and the fact that they have no problem with getting these clothes from basically what amounts to slave camps in China and whatnot. And that's what it is, by the way. The government calls them something else, but the Chinese government routinely puts people in these. And the infractions that you can get put in there are ridiculous for. Just putting that out there. They're glorified slave camps. And unlike in American prisons where, you know, they get like a small amount of money for working in prison to get like extra things besides like they already have like a roof over their heads and all that, and food and all that. It's basically for extra things like cigarettes and, you know, those extra things. It's not like that. They literally are slave labor. Yeah. Prisons are supposed to separate people who are not safe for general populace from everyone else. Like Bill Cosby, that raping son of a bitch. But also he's old, so it's not gonna make him suffer as much as you think it is. It's just kind of locks him away and gives you the assurance that he's locked away for that time that he's locked away for. It's not actually as horrible as... Yeah, because there are actually a lot of groups who fight for the rights of prisoners to not live in inhumane conditions. Because, you know, how would that make us any different from a country like, let's say, China? Who basically uses it as a means to mentally reprogram people and attempt to change their beliefs or just kind of get them out of the way, and then use them as slave labor and sell this stuff to other people in countries. And it's terrible, actually. Like, there have actually been things found in clothes and stuff just sort of sewn in where people have been asking for help. They're just saying, help me. This stuff has actually happened. All the stuff that they probably find and that you probably get in trouble for trying to put in there, and something actually has gotten through. It's just either like every time somebody has tried to say, hey, you know what, they're just like, well, we can't interfere with another country's way of dealing with criminals. But the thing is, some of these crimes aren't even violent. They're just a terrible government. Like, they're not. A government at its core is actually supposed to be for its people. If it violates this, eventually it is overthrown. That's what history shows us. Eventually people just get so sick of it, their group rises up, and whenever it does, all the people who were before complacent are like, you know what, it really does suck. You can't do any worse than this. I don't think anybody can do any worse than this. Let's go. And suddenly all those people that were before good little citizens are all part of this. And it becomes more of a mob than anything else. So people who are even connected to it, who aren't even guilty of anything, they end up caught up in it, because that's what eventually happens. All that anger, all of that repression eventually builds up and hits a breaking point. And then people just can't take anymore. I don't know when that would actually happen, but history shows us that it does, without fail. At some point, it reaches a point where people are so utterly repressed, no amount of propaganda is going to stop it. A government that focuses on controlling its citizens instead of representing them shoots itself in the goddamn foot. It might work for a little while for them, but at some point people get tired of it. It comes after the dead inside, after, their spirits are just so broken. It doesn't take much for them to decide that they want to break their government as much as they've been broken. It really doesn't. There are already people here who have been saying it for a while. In my own country, because of the stuff that goes on here. And people like me were like, how can we fix China? We can't even fix our own country because they're shutting us out. Our own country shuts us out. How are we supposed to help China? We can't even help ourselves. And then you got the rich people who are so rich, they just never have to deal with all these things. They don't even think about how damaging the things are the way they are. And it's like they're part of a whole different world. They're not really part of the general community. They're only part of a very small community, that's built on top of everyone else. The problems we deal with don't touch them. They don't have to deal with this. They don't. And then you get them making stupid comments like that if you work certain jobs, you shouldn't have children. Because you don't. Like, that this is suddenly a job not meant to support a family? Do they realize that the essence of work is actually supposed to be able to support a family? Like, that's kind of the point. they just get so disconnected. They're like, oh, well, if you do a job where you serve people food or something, you just shouldn't make a living wage, I guess. Or that, oh, well, it's only not a living wage because you have kids. Actually, it's not a living wage even if you don't have kids. Hi, honey.
A migraine from hell. I'm getting there. And I'm hungry.
Didn't get much?
Lunch, I would have been right about now.
We'll make it, honey.
Tired. Chris gets off at what time? Does he know we'll be home Wednesday? It's 1 o'clock.
I usually open up the door about 1. And I'm never sure. They never give us a concrete time. And they're just like, expect him not home like an hour earlier, an hour and a half earlier. Don't open it all the way. We got all this stuff, all these boxes.
You know what, do you know what I'm going to miss the most in this area?
What?
Lenny's.
Oh. I know.
The one down on Central Thomas was good, but not as good as.
I know. We'll have one last. No?
This check here is the last check before the move.
I
The
know.
next one's on the 1st.
Would you?
Can I get this real quick? I want to toss this out. I don't want a dirty Q-tip in my hand while I give you a hug.
I know.
Okay. Lucky's pissed. Going to stall with backpack. He can figure out how to get over it or around it to get to the door.
Well, that's because he doesn't really have a good. Lucky learned a long time ago. Hey. I didn't pause my recording, honey. I really don't want to record any illicit content, even just sound.
Uh-huh.
Get something to eat, dear.
I didn't say something, but you're recording.
I don't count. Don't you argue with me. I'm not food. Anyway, I guess I'm gonna end this now. Before. Nah. In Arizona, anyone can, the box comment. In Arizona, anyone can, like, sort of see that you have boxes and stuff and be like, I'm gonna report them. So, we're actually still packing for the move, so. And most of these boxes, they're not really room by room. They're just in the living room / kitchen. So yeah. Well, dining room. Living room / dining room. So anyway. Yeah. Yeah. Packing. packing is everywhere. Oh, by the way, Rob said that he has a lockbox.
Mhm.
He'll give us the combination for it so that we can get the key if we
Okay.
want to go see it
Mhm.
before, it's time to move in, or we want to take some of our stuff down there, which may actually be prudent.
Yes, I agree. You mentioned it before. Remember, I brought it up to you before.
I know, but it takes $40. It's a $40 trip, round trip,
Mm-hmm.
to take a lift up there. If we did it, we would need to do it and then take some stuff in. But it might do us some good to get some of these boxes out of the living room. Might make it easier to pack the rest of our stuff.
Mhm.